What's good? Movement Zach here. Today I'm going to take you through a hip mobility that I've been doing roughly every day for 4 weeks, and the results slash relief in my hips are amazing. So first things first, we're going to start with your feet. So we're going to take you down into the sissy squat here. You're going to kind of push your knees out to the side slightly. You can use the rack for balance. We'll go 10 reps on each side, just alternating pushing those knees down to the floor and kind of stretching those toes and the bottoms of your feet. Now, if this one's uncomfortable on your knees, you can turn and face the rack and kind of hold on to it. That way you take some of your weight off your knees and your ankles. But that's if it's uncomfortable and you're not able to tolerate it. But take these kind of slow and work your way into it. Next one, we're going to grab the knees. You're going to push them in together. Then we're going to push them out. In, out. I rock with that one for about 10 times. I'll also work on kind of arching your back, pushing that pelvis out, really opening that groin back in. I'm also working on some balance here. And then the last one, which will move back to the rack, is going to be here. You're going to work on pushing both knees forward and rolling back. Both knees forward and rolling back. Like I said, it's all about the toes on this one. Kind of getting those guys stretched out and ready to rock and roll. And then if you need to, help yourself out of that position, because once you hold it for a while, it can be kind of spicy on the knees. Next, we'll go for some Cossack squats. So this one, it's going to be relatively wide. Toes are pointed out to the side. I'm externally rotated, so my knees, if they were pointing, it's going to do one of those. My toes are pointed or pushed into the floor. And then you're going to work on dragging your butt cheek down to your heel while keeping your back up nice and tall. Big stretch in this leg. And back up to center. And we're working on keeping that knee pushed out. That way the glute's active. Back up, back and forth. If you're not able to balance with this one just yet, you can use the rack for assistance. So we'll be here, working in that range of motion. Now, I would like for you to try and float on the rack as much as possible. That way you're not relying on it too much. If you rely on the rack to help you get deeper into range of motion, just be careful. Sometimes it can be a little uncomfortable on those knees in this Cossack squat position. So work it back and forth, big stretch, and actively push that ground away from you when you come back up. Good. After Cossack squats, we're going to go back into a split variation. It's not going to be nearly as wide as the Cossack, but somewhere close. Anyway, from here, you're going to sink into a squat. We're going to work on pushing the knees out and arching your back as much as possible, holding that. We're trying to get as low as possible in that position. Also, make sure your toes are pushing to the ground. And then we'll relax out of it for a second. And then we'll go back down. And I usually try and hold this anywhere between like 8 to 10 seconds. And then I come out of it. And this one's spicy. This one's a good one. They're all good ones, but this one particularly has helped open up my groin a lot. That's typically where I have problems. And then also in this one, if you kind of want to freestyle with it, you can kind of go back and forth, leaning from side to side. And with the back and the pelvis, this is important. So if we're here, this is relatively easy. You take away some of the glute and the hamstring stretch and like the groin mobility. But if we're here and we're rolling out, you're having to really flex those glutes and really open up the groin to get into that position. Next on the agenda is going to be a lunge variation or a split squat variation. You can do this one on a bench. You can do it on the seat for a lat pull down, the seat for a preacher curl machine, really anything that's going to get you about knee height, like a box. But anyway, starting position, we're going to get that foot on the bench, back legs planted on the ground. We're going to lean into it, put an emphasis into the toes on the back foot, getting the knee straight, dragging the pelvis towards the bench on that one. And you should feel a large stretch across the front of your hip. hold it for a few seconds, and we'll push out and relax. We'll get back into it, emphasizing straightening that leg and getting the posture nice and tall. I'll rock with about 10 reps on each side for this one. Once I'm kind of comfortable with that, I'll work on turning away from the knee, keeping that leg straight, and then I'll work turning towards the knee, keeping that leg straight as much as possible. I'll probably do like 5 or 6 turns each way. All right, this is the one I usually finish up with. So once again, you need a bench or whatever is going to be around knee height for you. You're going to walk your leg out to where you have slightly an outside angle on this one. We don't want it perfectly stacked under the hip. This hand is going to be a focus. We're going to rotate that upper body and reach down. Good stretch. And then back up tall. Rotate the shoulders. Good stretch. And back up. And you're thinking about sinking that arm down as far as you can while letting the shoulders do one of these. We don't want to reach like this. It's going to take away from that groin stretch. We want to try and move on this flat plane and work down there into that groin. Now, with just about all of these movements, if they're a unilateral movement or one leg at a time, I'll do 10 reps on each leg. If they're bilateral or both, I'll do 10 reps total, and I'll do 2 rounds of the entire circuit before I work out. That's typically on a lower body day. If I'm doing upper body, I will sprinkle them in the upper body warm-up, just adding a few pieces here and there, and then I may also throw some in within the workout. So like while I'm breathing in between bench press sets or something like that, I'll work on a set or 2 of Cossack squats. But give this whole routine a try. Let me know how it feels. And if you have any problems or questions about it, hit up the comments. But I hope you have a great day, and I hope those hips start feeling better.